mine, Chad Williams, who works at Living Waters Ministry, the Ray Comfort Ministry. I knew he was a Navy SEAL, so he's somebody you don't want to be messing with. I knew that he was really good at evangelism, but I had no idea his logic skills were so sharp. Want to show you a rather extended encounter that he had with a materialistic secular humanist. And what Chad does in this is just jaw-dropping, outstanding. Why? Because he doesn't let the guy get away with it. So often when you are in an encounter, in some sort of a debate, you end up going, well, wait a second, and wait a second, you go down all these different little rabbit trails trying to pick up the mess that they're making. Why is there such a mess created by their logic? It's because so often it's illogical. Chad Williams didn't let the fellow get away with it.
You're talking about what, conditions? And I'm talking about the laws of science. For instance, the second law of thermodynamics, all right? Does that change like the weather changes?
Does that change like the weather changes? No. However,
okay.
Again,
so
hold on. Now you've asked me about science.
Uniformity to nature or not?
I do not.
You cut up science.
I do not.
You don't.
Even going back to the scientists do not believe in the uniformity of nature.
How can you rely on scientific experimentation if the future is potentially not going to be the past? You see, you say that you don't believe in the uniformity of nature,
correct,
but you don't live your life that way. Do you wake up in the morning, stub your toe, and you feel pain, and then think it's quite possible that the next morning that I stub my toe, it actually might be a good sensation? You don't live your life that way.
No,
right?
I don't.
So what you do is you steal from a Christian worldview in order to even do science.
Once again,
the uniformity of nature is just an assumption in your mind, but it can be verified in the Christian worldview, as it says in Genesis chapter 8, verse 22.
The uniformity of nature,
God
the non-uniformity
is the controlling influence that causes the laws of science to operate tomorrow as they do today. As a Christian, I can account for that. As a non-Christian, not only did you deny it, but you can't account for it if you want to contradict yourself, which is okay in your worldview.
You haven't let me attempt to account for it. When I tried to account for it, you jumped on me.
Why are you getting foul?
Sworn, huh?
Why are you getting foul right now? There's little kids around here. That's not
because
necessary.
About 6 or 7 times I've turned to your camera or to you and said you won't let me finish my point, and then you never let me finish my point.
Because you begin to give me a commentary on the question that I asked you. So my question was, the uniformity of nature. Right? Do you believe in the uniformity of nature?
No.
No.
Would you like to know why?
No.
No. Would you like to know why?
Not why.
Would you like to know why?
That's fine.
Because you're not letting me fully answer your question.
No, I understand that you don't.
Because you looked for a no.
And I'm not going to question that you don't. My next question is, all right?
Okay.
If you don't believe in the uniformity of nature,
which I don't,
how is it that you do scientific experimentation and believe that it is reliable if it's subject to change tomorrow?
Because it's not subject to change tomorrow. Current modern physics...
So you do believe in the uniformity of nature?
No, I do not. This seems like a contradiction. Would you like to shush and let me go back and make my point, which you are calling a commentary?
How do you know tomorrow will be like today?
I don't.
So you don't believe in the uniformity of nature?
I believe in the uniformity of nature, probably working at a micro scale. Would you like to
assume the uniformity of nature, but you can't account for it. You can't actually give a reason why the nature will be uniform, why the laws of science will operate tomorrow like you do today. You can't give a reason why.
Even again, according to science, there is a period...
Well, that's actually the fallacy of verification right there. Science is not an actual thing. What you're doing is you're prescribing human feelings and emotions to science.
I haven't even
made my point. It's an abstract concept.
According to scientific theory, as an abstract concept, and according to current models of scientific cosmology, as an abstract concept, looking back at the creation of the universe, which is still an abstract concept. It is believed, even by physicists and cosmologists and astrophysicists, that shortly after the event that they refer to as the Big Bang, that for a period of time, several 100,000 years after the Big Bang, the current models believe that the laws...
several 100,000 years? What standard are you using?
I said, according to the model. I've already given you my
standard. I'd like you to represent your worldview and not just bring in some pseudo worldview or make up a worldview to represent against me. If you and I are going to have a conversation right now,
everybody generates the worldview
then I need
based off things that they have read, based off things that they have heard from other people, put together and synthesized into themselves. You call yourself a Christian theist. At some point, somebody had to present to you the book, or somebody had to present to you the argument, or somebody had to present to you the story of God. You had to read that. You had to filter that through your own perceptions and decide that that was what you believed.
Are you sure that is the only way that I could know God's existence?
No. No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm making a logical statement.
Okay.
However, once again, we're off the point because you asked me about the uniformity
Well, as a
of nature.
Christian theist, you've actually misrepresented my worldview. Traditionally, it's known as a logical fallacy called a straw man. You've misrepresented me. So as a Christian, all right, what it says is that for since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So you as a human being, you know that God exists, you operate like God exists, but you suppress that truth. You use the laws of logic, which are immaterial, but you can't account for an immaterial worldview.
Earlier, way back at the beginning of this discussion,
you use the laws of logic as if they don't change, but you can't account for something that's changeless if you believe there's no God and we're the product of change, because change will happen more and more. You operate as if you believe that uniformity of nature is something that's real, that if you stub your toe a little bit, it will hurt. You don't question whether or not it will. You're not skeptical and think that maybe it will be a sensation. But your worldview cannot account for that. It cannot justify it. So you live like a Christian. You're kind of like a kleptomaniac. You steal from the Christian worldview, but at the end of the day, you can't account for the counting that you do. You're kind of like somebody that has monopoly money. You make good bids with that money, but you don't really have the money in the bank account to show. In your worldview, contradictions are okay. In your worldview, you can go up to a bank teller and say, bank teller, there's $10,000 in there. But the bank teller is going to say, sorry, son, the law of non-contradictions, no respecter of men. You either do or you don't have the money in there. So contradictions are okay in this make-believe world that you keep bringing up, but it doesn't actually work in the real world, and you don't live your life that way.
Oh, that actually, it's like a kidney punch.